morning, Shore Church. How are you doing this morning? Good. My name is Cory, and I'm one of the pastors here at the Shore, and I want to welcome you to the first day of our brand new series titled Adam and Eve. And since it's a brand new series, we decided we wanted to do something a little bit different with you this morning. So in order to kick that off, let me go ahead and ask you a question. Men, husbands, have you ever, and don't raise your hand on this, looked over at your wife and realized she has been talking for 45 minutes, and you just have absolutely no idea what she's talking about? Yes? But really, it's not that we don't want to understand, it's not that we don't care, it's just that, who can really comprehend all the complexities that are the female brain, right? There's so many emotions, and one thing is tied into another, and it doesn't make any sense, they're not actually connected, but they all seem to flow in one conscious thought. And so, we decided as a pastoral staff that we would try to give you the best picture we possibly could into the female brain. So all three of us, got into a room, and we have a combined experience of over 50 years of marriage between us. And we said, what is the picture we can give? What is the window into the female soul that we can really give somebody so they can walk out of this room understanding what a woman is? And we decided that we have absolutely no idea either. And so we decided maybe it's time for us to invite the women of the Shore up to the stage and hear from them perhaps what they are thinking too. So please go ahead, come on up, ladies, and let's give them a round of applause in order to welcome them. There is a verse in 1 Peter, and what it says is, husbands, honor your wives by understanding them as you live together, that your prayers might not be hindered. And so we're going to have a lot of fun up here, I think, today. But we want you to understand where a woman is coming from, because they may be our wives. They may be our sisters, but they're God's daughter. And we know that he wants them treated with the respect that they deserve, respect that really can only come by understanding them. So, meet our esteemed panel here today. If you wouldn't mind just giving us your 30-second introduction of yourselves, who you are and why you're up here today, what stage of life.
Hi, my name is Gina, and I'm single, no kids, never been married.
I'm Leah. I've been married almost 14 years, and we have 4 kids, so our stage is just crazy right now.
And I am Kelly, and by the grace of God, I have been married 25 and a half years, and I have 2 amazing boys, and we're empty nesters now.
That's absolutely wonderful. I am looking forward to that stage. As a parent of a 2.5-year-old, an empty nest doesn't sound all that bad right now. So, okay, so let's break the ice and ask the first question. Gina, let's go ahead and go to you. So what are the greatest joys and what are some of the greatest struggles of being single?
Joys and struggles. So I love being single because I love living alone. I love decorating my own apartment. I love having all of the sinks, all of the drawers in my bathroom to myself for hair and makeup, and everything is mine. I don't have to worry about cooking for somebody or cleaning for somebody or picking up after somebody. I really just love having my own schedule and not being accountable to anybody else. But on the flip side, I'm home alone a lot. I have a lot of time to think to myself. And I do wish I had those moments when I could just tell someone about my day and just do life with somebody. And, a lot of my girlfriends are married. And, I want to give them respect and, know that they have their time with their families. And, so here I am kind of like, I think I'm ready for that. But it's in God timing, so.
So all you single men out there, she is ready for that. So she will be out front after this message, and we'll make sure that you have a chance to meet her, okay? Okay. So Leah, what would you like husbands to know about their wives?
I think first service we said we don't know that we have enough time for that, but I think sometimes when we really say, he's like, what do you need? And you're like, I don't know. We truly don't know. You're just so spent physically, emotionally. You've been in a million different places and put out a million fires. You really don't know what you want. And I think it's some just having that person there who's listening, who doesn't necessarily have to fix it, because I know guys are fixers. You like to fix everything. We don't even necessarily need that. We just need somebody who is there to listen and, hey, I'm here for you and I'm not going anywhere, I'd say.
That's pretty good, yeah. So Kelly, what do you have adult children now. You were recently an empty nester, that's
Yes,
right?
we are.
Yeah, and even one of your kids actually just got married as well, isn't that
Yes,
the
he
case?
did. So I have a daughter now.
Ooh, that's right. For the first time in
That's
your
different.
life, I have a daughter.
Yeah.
I remember when, I'm one of 3 boys, and when I got married, my mom looks at her and goes, I've been so excited to have somebody to go shopping with this whole time. So since you have adult children now, and they are starting off on their path out into the world, what would you like them to know from you as their mom thinking about them going into the world?
Call your mom. And I'm so lucky that my kids do call their mother. So, that I want them to go out and be confident young men. I want them to seek God. I only want the best for them. And that life can be hard, and there are a lot of ups and downs, and grind through it. Fight for it.
That's pretty good. I know that my mom was in first service. She walked out, and the first thing she did was elbow me and say, call your mom more often.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and thank you for that. I appreciate
Even when you're
that
bored,
advice.
or, they call when they're bored. So that's okay. Just call your mom.
That's good, that's good. So, what do you want to know, for all the guys to know, before he dates that girl?
So a couple things come to mind. A Christian woman probably wants a man to know that God comes first in her life, which means that there are going to be boundaries. There are going to be things that she probably doesn't want to do while dating. And also, it's okay to be friends first. There's no rush, I mean, I myself want to have kids at some point, and, getting to that certain age, I guess there's kind of a rush, but so a couple weeks ago, I went on a date with a guy, and within 15 minutes of knowing this guy, he says to me, so what do you think about me? And I'm like, ugh. Oh, I just met you.
Not good
Don't
right
make
now.
this weird. You were doing so good. So, yeah, those 3 things.
So basically, set a pace that is one that can be sustained, is really what it comes down to, right? I remember before you said, just know that you're going to automatically be in the friend zone, right?
Yes, that's
and
good.
so just know that, it's going to take a little bit of time. If you really want to get with a girl who is so fabulous, it's going to take some time.
I think all the girls worth getting are take your time and not gonna rush. Because talking with Gina through this process, I'm like, that's my heart for my girls to see that, and like, you are worth so much. And so if a guy is not patient, move on. It's not worth it.
You're getting good like that.
And my son's too young for her, so that's unfortunate.
So what are some of the things that you had to learn, or some things you had to let go of in order to maintain happiness in your marriage? Because things change a lot once you get married.
I kind of laugh. I don't laugh at 1 Corinthians, but love is patient and kind. Love does not boast. It does not envy. But love, it doesn't continue saying, but love is hard sometimes. Love hurts sometimes. Love is work sometimes. But it's all worth it. Like I said, you grind through it. You fight for it. And that's what I learned to do. You can't give up. Never give up. Keep going.
I think about, too, I don't consider myself a prideful person. I think going into a marriage, you realize that you are very selfish and prideful, and learning to let that go, because it's not about you. You're 2 different people, and you may have a million things in common, but it doesn't take long to find out the things you will see very differently on. And I said, like, TJ, not in a bad way, but most things he's like, I don't care. Not in the like, I don't care, whatever. He really has no opinion one way or the other, Used to frustrate me until I realized, no, he really doesn't. So then on the things he does care about, and he is very adamant or wants to say, I try to listen well. And I think if I had done that way, way early, things would have gotten a little easier for us. But just laying down your pride, and I think you said serving one another before, is a huge, and letting go your preconceived notions of what you think it's going to be into, this is the reality of it too.
And I think also learning the love languages. And there are 5 love languages. I'm sure you can Google it, and you'll touch on it in a moment. But I had to learn how to love my husband and what he needed from me, and he needed to learn my love language, which is quality time. I could care less if you bring me flowers. I'm just not that person. I just want to spend time with you. So to learn those things early on was very important, and it took some time to learn those things.
Yeah, it took me probably 3 or 4 years for my wife and I to really even know what the love languages were. And I know that, it got easier after that, right? Because it gets hard sometimes when you think you're sharing love, you think you're showing that, and it turns out you just weren't. You're showing how I understood it, but not how she did. And so it makes a huge difference when we can do that, for sure. You talked about pride and having to kind of push that back down. I know that nothing will teach you that you're proud or selfish like marriage will. So how did that work for you guys? How did you kind of work through that with your husbands as you went into this?
I don't remember that question. How did we work through it? I mean, it does take time. It doesn't happen overnight. And there are hard, low, sad moments. But that only makes the peaks that much taller and higher and brighter. Just working through that.
A whole lot of grace with one another is definitely Christians being around other people who are striving for the same things, having hard conversations. I know, like TJ and I, this last year started marriage counseling, not because it's like, it's in the dumps and we're barely hanging on. No, we know marriage is work, and so we feel value in putting time and effort at getting better. And one day we are, it seems a long way off with our 4 right now, but we will be empty nesters, and then we're stuck with each other. And don't you want to be the best for each other that you can be? And so 2 things with that. Find someone who is educated in it and also a Christian. We're Christians, and so our faith life is such a huge base for our marriage. And so there's a lot of people who are educated and not believers, but there's also a lot of believers who are not educated. So you need to have that combination.
And counseling's so fantastic for a marriage, and you go through different seasons, and when you come upon that season, it's okay to seek that advice. And it's so awesome to have somebody listen to you. I know for an hour, somebody's going to listen to me.
Yeah, actually, we go through marriage counseling as well. One of the things, and we do it regularly, one of the things that I found to be so useful is that 99% of the time, I don't know what I didn't know. And there are as I go through marriage, I keep finding out whole categories of marriage that I just didn't even know existed. And it's really helped me to even know what I can work on, that there is a category to work on that I didn't know, just like the love languages were before that. So, we touched on it briefly before already, but when I got married, I remember looking at my wife and thinking, but I love her so much. And I remember distinctly in premarital counseling, looking at the pastor and going, but it's okay, we never fight, so it's not like we're ever going to do that in the future. That worked out exactly how I thought it was, for sure. So is marriage this, I love him so much it's going to be all right because of that? Or what does it really mean? How does it look once you get married?
There is the honeymoon stage and all those fun things, and then there's always the stressors of money, kids. I think you feel like your spouse is the safe person, which also means you dump on them or are shorter with them, or they have to be there, so I can't talk to my boss the way I'm going to talk to you, which is also shouldn't be. And so I think, okay, what does that look like? My head just went, woo, way under.
And that's a woman for you. We
Yeah.
start talking, and then we don't know where we're going.
Yeah. So, and
What
that's
did
why
I mean?
Cory's here to be like, no, so what does it look like?
What's the question?
Is love a feeling, or is it,
Yeah.
what does hard work mean in a marriage?
What does hard work mean? It means putting in the hours and staying there for each other. And when it's good, but when it's bad, you're there too. So.
Yes?
Okay. For all the single guys out there, what does a young godly woman look for in a potential husband?
Well, I guess just speaking for myself, I'm looking for, I'm looking for somebody who has also a beautiful faith in Christ and is walking with him daily. And that really reflects in somebody. You can kind of tell very quickly who your brothers and sisters in Christ are. And so that's obviously number one right there. I'm looking for somebody responsible and, a leader in your community or in your group or even just in your family, standing up for Christ. And, there's no pressure there, but.
So guys, that's what a godly woman is looking for sure. And in your experience, when you've experienced dating with someone who is godly, what does that look like? How do you guys try to keep on track as you're going through the relationship? I know you're still looking, but how's that been so far?
Well, I did date a guy who has a beautiful faith, and I think what was important, because you can't help it sometimes, your human desires and whatnot, but when you're staying focused on the word together, and can you remind yourself that this is just the human body talking, that's not what he has in mind for you. So I think just staying focused, at the same time, and going to church and just being friends, really. That's so important.
Yeah, it is really important too. I know that my wife is my best friend, and I could not do that without her, so establishing that early definitely seems like something that would be highly beneficial.
You're a good man for saying that.
She could probably hear me, so I don't have a choice, yeah. So, how has having kids, how has that affected your marriage? And how can you kind of prepare for that a little bit if you don't have kids yet?
Having kids is like you put everything and then take it to the next level. So joy is joy, but the hard times are harder. And I think you really have to be intentional with your relationship, because once you add kids to the mix, there is no ooh, it just happened by accident that we have a night off or a this or a that. So that's one thing TJ and I have had to kind of refocus. Date nights don't really happen too often for us because we have 2 in school and 2 home. That dynamic has been interesting, to say the least. So it's turned into breakfast dates, which is also a little bit cheaper, which is nice. So I'll throw that out there for you. So doing that, and then one of the things when we were dating and trying to keep it godly, we did a lot of walking and not sitting, because my husband's good looking and he was, So we walked almost every neighborhood around my parents' house, the house he was living in, and just you dream together. You talk about what your goals are, where you want to be, where you see yourselves. And I think you get married and you have kids and you kind of lose that, but that's part of what made you fall in love together, is dreaming together. And so I kind of feel refreshed when we've had those conversations. Now, even what does the next part of our life look like? What are our dreams, our goals? And because that never stops, whatever stage of life you are, with you guys too.
Exactly. But having children, I can tease my husband. I'll say, in my life, there's God, my kids, and then you. Kids are everything. They're your highest of highs, and when they're low, it affects me. So kids are one of the most amazing things that have brought Dean and I closer, and I couldn't imagine not having them. So I don't know if that was what you asked again, but there I go.
That works out. But speaking specifically to your position, you're recently an empty nester. Just had everyone go off to college and get married and all that. So how have you made that transition? Because like you said, the kids just left and it is difficult. And what advice do you have for somebody else who's about to go through something like that?
Okay, the transition was very hard. I'm not going to lie to you. For 6 months, I felt like it was a funeral. I was just waiting. They're going to leave me. They're going to leave me. They're going to leave me. And then they did leave. But Dean and I had a plan, and we talked about it. We talked about our dreams. We talked about what is our plan that day after they leave? What's it going to look like? And it was it was a relief. It was okay, and we will be okay, and we were okay. And but leading up to it was a definite challenge. I would just say communicate, and have a plan.
Communicate and have a plan. We talked earlier a little bit. What does godly leadership from a man look like in your marriage? And the flip side, which isn't always as popular, what does true submission of a woman look like? Because we hear the verses about it, but sometimes it's difficult to actually get a mental picture of what that actually means. So.
I know for me, it's TJ's put in the hard work. And in the beginning, you're married and you're trying to figure everything out. But as time goes on, I mean, he's been there to listen to the conversations. He's changed the dirty diapers. He's led our family well. Like, he could make a decision and he's included me in decisions too along the way, I would say. And I didn't realize the weight of that I had on that kind of stuff until he told me one day, like, when you were on board, I was like, okay, let's go. And I was like, really, you value me, like, my opinion that much? And he's like, yeah. And that was very freeing in our marriage, and also gave me a check to, like, your words as a wife are powerful when you're speaking with your husband. And so, you know, just choose carefully what you're saying, and know, you know, he has earned that position in my eyes because he's put in the work. He never demanded, I'm the head of household and it's in the Bible. No, he rolled his sleeves up and did the dirty work to lead our family well. And as the years go, that grows and grows and grows. So.
Most definitely. I find one of the very attractive, I find my husband so attractive when he's a leader,
Yes.
when he leads our family. And leads it, I mean, he earned it, and he's not demanding, but sometimes our families, we're looking to him saying, help. I'm going to make a long story short, but we were having issues with all of us. People were subtweeting and tweeting and texting, and our family was like, what is going on here? And calling, and I'm calling this person. And Dean finally said, stop. And we were all in different parts of the state, and he called a Holiday Inn in Gainesville, Florida, and reserved their conference room. And we all drove to the conference room, and he said, we're going to pray. These are the rules. Now go. And everybody, I mean, when you're face to face with your family and with people you care about, it just meant the whole world that he knew that our family needed led at that moment. And we face to face, we got it out. 3 hours later, a lot of tears, a lot of yelling, a lot of crying, but it made the difference in, you know, our family.
It reminds me of the verse that we started off in. It says, husbands, honor your wives by understanding them as you live together. You know, and it also says in an earlier chapter in 1 Corinthians, it says that, you know, husbands, love your wives like Christ loved the church. And, you know, he died. So, like, it's a pretty extreme step to love them to that point, to love them to the exclusion of yourself plus a little bit, you know? And it really is a high thing to be called to. And to know that you have the support of a godly woman is a big deal as well. All right, well, it looks like we are coming to a close. We can have one more question in. And this one I actually have some personal investment in. You see, my wife is 12 weeks pregnant, so we are expecting our second. And so, how can a husband help prepare and help their wife? What are your fears? What are your questions? What are the things that you need from someone like me?
I think last service I threw my husband under the bus on this one, but we need you to be strong, but it's okay if you're not. My husband passed out during our first birth, but we learned, and that's why you have a mom there or a friend there, and he learned and he was there for the second one. So it's okay to fail
It's okay
sometimes.
to pass out.
It's okay.
You're good. I think this is just kind of one of the themes is like, hey, just being there. because you're going through a whole lot of stuff. I looked at TJ one time crying, and I'm like, I'm not even this level of upset, but I can't stop crying. And so, but he was there. And in between services, he goes, when Cory said that, I totally thought of, I think probably at all 4, I looked at him and was like, I can't do this anymore. I want to go home. And so, I mean, kind of one of those things, like, and he's like, no, babe, we're doing this. And it's the we together, you know, just being there when you are like, I can't do this. You may not be able to, but we can do this. So I think that, yeah.
And Gina, for you, as someone who has not had kids yet, what are some of your concerns in planning for that process? What are you concerned about? What do you want to see in your potential spouse?
Well, just like you guys were saying, I want to see somebody who's going to be there with me as a we. You know, it's not just me that's pregnant, you know, God willing, it's us together. I want to see that he is rolling up his sleeves and doing the dirty work too. And I want to, you know, feel completely safe in his arms should I completely become a wreck and want to just throw in the towel. And, you know, remind me all the beautiful promises that God has and that he's not done with us yet. So, and that's good what you guys were talking about counseling earlier too. I mean, it's an educated counselor and a Christian counselor for sure, because those are things sometimes it takes swallowing the pride, I think, to go to counseling, but those can be very beneficial, even just, you know, just coming from somebody else, you know, the same thing you could be telling somebody, but coming from somebody else. So that's another thing I'm looking for.
Yeah, I know that as a husband speaking to other husbands, the 2 things that struck me as the things that I did not know were real are nesting is a very real thing, and you will have to get that room ready well in advance. And the second thing is baby brain is a real thing too. She
It
will
never
forget
goes
some things.
away,
Oh, that's
actually.
such encouraging news, yeah. All right. Well, why don't we go ahead and give these women a warm thank you for all the wisdom that they were able to share. Thank you so much. You know, I think that a lot of us, we have a tendency to look at women like this and see the relationships they're talking about, and we think, I wish that I had that kind of relationship with my spouse, or I wish I had that kind of relationship with my kids or with my parents, right? And I know that all of us up here would agree that you can only have better relationships, truly better relationships, if you first have a relationship with a God who made relationships. After all, he has spent all of human history trying to get back into a relationship with us. Jesus Christ left heaven because he knew that we couldn't get there. And he came down here knowing he would die on a cross. And he did that so that our sins could be forgiven. But that wasn't all. He didn't just die so that our past could be taken care of, but he ensured our future too. And he made what we call a new covenant, or a new promise to each and every one of us, that we can be children of God again. We can be in relationship with him again. And so today, I want to give anybody who hasn't made that decision a chance to make that decision. All that it takes is to know that he died for us so that we could be reunited with him, to cover our sins so that they no longer count against us, to believe that, and then to surrender to the God who made us in the first place, so that we will live the life that he wants, that we will live for him. So please, everyone, if you wouldn't mind, just bow your heads, close your eyes, and let's just take a moment, please. Let's nobody move around. Let's just respect this time. And if you haven't said that prayer, then today is your moment. Today is the chance. I'm going to say a prayer. You just repeat after me, either in your heart or out loud, whatever you're comfortable with. Lord, thank you so much for coming down and dying for me. Lord, I'm so sorry for rejecting you for so long, for sinning against you, Lord, and please today, I want to change all that. I want you, I want your support, I want you to be in my corner, Lord. I want to follow you. I believe you, I believe in you, and I submit myself to you, and from this point forward, I want to follow you. In your name we pray.
Thank you so much for joining us online today. If you prayed that prayer with us, we would like to help you on your spiritual journey. If you don't mind going to theshorechurch.com or emailing us at hello@theshorechurch.com, we can send you some information to start this spiritual journey of faith. And of course, we'd always love to see you in person at The Shore Church, 3375 Fruitvale Road.